Many of you will recall that in 1985, we had arranged a similar function to felicitate our well-wishers. At that time, the venue was one of the large and beautiful courtyards of this institution. You might have wondered why tonight's dinner is held on the grounds. In addition, of course, to our desire to show you the lovely lakeside landscaping, the reality is that, mashallah, none of the courtyards on this campus can accommodate the substantially bigger family of supporters and friends the medical center now has. Thus, I believe the supporters of this medical center have been deeply inspired by His Highness's vision that this university, through pragmatic approaches to problem solving and by training a new breed of leaders, will, inshallah, make a major contribution towards winning the race for development. We are deeply grateful to the government for the gift of this magnificent plot of land and for creating the legislation and circumstances that encourage private sector to establish and support institutions of higher learning, health and social welfare, which supplement government's own efforts in these fields. Tonight, the government of Pakistan is represented here by Sahibzada Yaqub Khan, the Foreign Minister of Pakistan, who is also the senior most officer of this university after its chancellor. A man of charm, wit, and immense wisdom, he is unique in many ways. Not only is he knowledgeable about the sciences, but he is proficient in the arts, having mastered command over Urdu, Bengali, Farsi, Arabic, English, French, German, Italian, and Russian. He is today amongst the most admired and esteemed diplomats in the world. For it was he, more than anyone else, who through his clear thinking, equanimity, and unbounded patience achieved what is termed as the modern miracle of a negotiated troop withdrawal by the Russians. The university is most fortunate in having a statesman and an intellectual of his stature as the leader of our Board of Trustees, and it is therefore with the greatest of pride and pleasure that I request Sahibzada Yaqub Khan to address us this evening. Thank you.
May I start by saying what a great privilege it is for me and my wife to be with you this evening. It is indeed a rare honor to find ourselves in so distinguished a company. The point that I want to develop from this concrete case history is quite simply this. One doesn't know, books and volumes have been written, but one doesn't know quite along which road and which route this happiness, will-o'-the-wisp that frequently awaits us, that is the objective and search by philosophers and writers, and volumes have been written. Heaven knows it's difficult to tell on what road and where it is to be found. But one thing is certain, and that is that it is along the road of giving of oneself. When I say giving of oneself, it can be in 1,000 ways. Sometimes it is material, but even more often it is giving of yourself, a bit of you, to another cause other than yourself. It can be in the form of emotion or affection or devotion, but always of giving. Not only because all the holy books in the world rightly insist on it, but for a reason that is simple enough to understand. That in associating and identifying with a cause that is bigger than oneself, that surpasses one's little miserable self, that transcends it, in so doing, there is an expansion of the personality, and rather than being a crippled, maimed, wretched person that one is when tormented by selfishness and concentrating on oneself, that this loneliness which comes from the concentration on the self and the banishing of this loneliness when you are associated with a cause that is infinitely greater than you are, because then you are in company with forces that are immeasurably great in scale. And in so associating with them, you march with humanity. And you are no longer alone. You no longer turn upon yourself and continue to cripple your own, one's own personality. And it is in the act of giving, this act of grace, that this loneliness is overcome. And in the process of overcoming loneliness, there is a feeling of satisfaction and of contentment that is not obtainable in any other way. I could dwell on this theme at greater length, but I must not keep you donors from a dinner. And let me say what a privilege it has been for me to address you, but each one of you, and your spouses who accompany you. You are engaged on the right path. As I said, it's impossible to tell where on this road this treasure of contentment is to be found, elusive, diffused, and at the best of time, as I said, to be gained, only to be lost again, to be regained, provided the search continues is along that path. You are engaged on that path, and so may Allah bring to you the satisfaction that you so richly merit and the right choices that you have made. And in so doing, here this evening, you have a person who has illuminated this path in a manner, I think, the like of which it would be difficult to find an example. I speak, of course, of His Highness, whom I have the honor also to claim as a friend. He has set an example for all of us to emulate, and therefore, on this evening, instead of giving you what I should have given you, the facts and figures, all of which are important, I have shared with you an intimate idea. It is there, for what it is worth, the fruit of a long and varied life through many incarnations in this very life. And whenever I found that I have gained, even for a moment, that peace of mind of which I spoke, it has surely always been when, and that has happened very rarely, when I have felt that I have given something of myself as I am giving to you in this short ad lib extempore remarks, and I hope you will take them as they were meant to be. They come straight from straight from the heart, and the words of a halting, perhaps, and not altogether incoherent, can sometimes match those of the polished and fluent speaker. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.